Ladies and gentlemen, many thanks for attending the press conference with the Prime Minister of Lithuania, Šimonytė. And okay, so many thanks for attending the press conference with Prime Minister of Lithuania, Šimonytė, and Chancellor Kurz. I also would like to reiterate at the beginning that this is an occasion to ask in particular questions about international affairs. For questions relating domestic politics, there will be other occasions also later on. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Madam Prime Minister dear Ingrida, thank you very much for coming to Vienna. It's a pleasure for me to welcome you and your delegation here. And I'm very happy that we will both attend the European Forum Wachau tomorrow together. Lithuania and Austria are strong friends and partners, and we are happy to celebrate 30 years of our bilateral relations this year. Lithuania is our most important trading partner in the Baltics, and we hope that we will reach the level we had before the pandemic very quickly again. I would like to thank you personally also for our good cooperation during the pandemic and our exchange of views on how to handle the pandemic in a good way. Today we focused on current European issues and also on the situation in Belarus. I would like to thank you for your support for the Belarusian opposition, and we also try to be as supportive as possible. We demand free and fair presidential elections, as well as the immediate release of the journalist recently detained from a Ryanair flight, as well as of all other political prisoners. I was very thankful to hear your perspective and your views, because as a neighbor you have quite a good insight on what is going on in Belarus. The EU has reacted quickly, and of course we also support further sanctions against the regime if necessary. We hope that it will be possible to get a better situation there, but if not, there will be a strong reaction by the European Union needed. I would like to thank you once again for this very interesting exchange of views, and I look forward to the forum tomorrow, where we will also have the chance to discuss the situation in Belarus, but also in the European Union together. Thank you.
Thank you, dear Federal Chancellor, dear Sebastian. I very much appreciate this invitation, not only because it's so pleasant finally to be able to travel and meet people in live events, and especially such important event like Wachau conference tomorrow, where so many excellent speakers have a visionary debate about European Union and its future, but also what is happening, what has happened, what is happening, and what will happen close to our borders. First, let me thank Austria for 30 years of dynamic bilateral relations, the anniversary that we celebrate this year, and I think that there is a lot of scope for making it even more intense and more dynamic, and I very much hope on our bilateral cooperation growing stronger. But of course, many of our issues, many of our common problems are being solved at European level, where we are partners, where we discuss what is essential and crucial for us as a community, essential for our values, essential for the future of Europe. And it's so important that we can compare notes with friends, like today, on most of European affairs, as well as on COVID pandemic, on transition and transformation of our economies. But with all those challenges that we have as European Union, we of course need to be mindful of what is happening at our doorstep. And of course there was a lot of things that have been said already about the hijack of a civil airplane that happened a couple of weeks ago. The plane happened to travel from Athens to Vilnius, to European Union capitals, with citizens of more than 10 European countries on board. And it showed us that even regimes that were already called unpredictable can be even more unpredictable than unpredictable, and will not stop before anything, just to ground the person they want to reach for whatever cost, and put in danger lives and health of so many people. Of course, I'm really thankful Austrian government as well as other governments, heads of governments and states, for the swift response at the level of European Council, and the response came immediate, and all the major considerations of my government, of us, close neighbors and participants of this drama were taken into account. But of course, this is not stopping here. We will continue to work together, and we need to find ways and means to assure that political prisoners who are being kept right close to the borders of European Union would be released, and Belarusian people will have their right to decide their fate, because this is a basic human right, basic feature of human dignity that Belarusian people at current juncture are being stripped of. So I very much look forward to our further cooperation and discussion, and I'm thankful for good cooperation and good common view that we managed to elaborate so far. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So we now come to the questions. Austrian Press Agency.
Thank you. Thomas Schmidt, Austria Press Agency. Question to both of you, Prime Minister and Chancellor. On Belarus, do you think there is already enough consensus on the EU for the next sanction package that aims against critical industries of the Belarusian economy, like potash industry and other sectors? And yesterday, the European Parliament came forward with a new proposal saying one could also exclude Belarus from the international payment system SWIFT. And secondly, if I may, given the fact that the Russian President Putin showed open support for President Lukashenko in this case, do you think it is necessary also to gear up the speed against Russia with, in the end, new sanction, or to do something about Russia as well? Thank you.
Well, I think that our officials from government are working hard together with External Action Service to prepare necessary decisions for the ones who will make the final decision. And I know that those debates are quite intense and productive. So hopefully we will be able to agree, and my major hint would be that it's not the particular sectors that we need to address, but we need to address the potential of the regime to exploit our markets, our consumers, our financial institutions for the benefit of raising money that are used then to finance the punitive institutions and services. When it comes to Kremlin, definitely there is a part of Putin's support in the situation around Belarus, but there are issues that are related to Kremlin's actions against Russia's people, first and foremost, that need to be considered. And we all know about poisoning of Navalny, about sentencing of Navalny, about the fact that civil organizations are being claimed terrorists or extremists or whatever claims you can imagine that is completely not true. So I think those issues are to be considered due to Kremlin's own actions, not due to Lukashenko's actions. Lukashenko's actions need to bear brunt on Lukashenko himself.
Can fully agree on that. I think it is important to distinguish between different countries, different politicians, different actions, and there are enough problems on the table. So I think it would make things even more complicated if we try to mix everything up. On your first question, I always said that we stand ready to support further sanctions if needed. The situation is still dramatic, and so I think that it is good that the European Union prepares for further sanctions, but they should be as targeted as possible. So what we want is to react on what the regime did and what the regime does. What we do not want is that the people of the country have to suffer, and so it's always difficult, it's not easy, but I think we should try our best that any further sanctions are as targeted as possible.
So we come to the second question from Austrian Public Television.
Irene Bella, Austrian Public Broadcast, ORF. I also have one question each, Ms. Prime Minister. Are refugees from Belarus still safe in the EU, and do you personally feel that Lithuania gets enough support from other European countries to protect these refugees? And Chancellor, you said that Austria will support further sanctions towards Belarus, but it lies in the very nature of tough sanctions that both sides will have economic disadvantages. Will the Baltic countries be able to count on Austria to also support sanctions that would also mean to have disadvantages for Austrian economy? Thank you.
Thank you for your question. Many people have left Belarus, especially after 2020 August, and that was our intention to open a humanitarian corridor and to invite people whomever felt not safe within the country, students who've been expelled from the universities, business people whose business all of a sudden turned to be under watchdog of Lukashenko regime to relocate to our country, and we still will be providing this hospitality to Belarusian people. And we find a lot of understanding both in hearts and minds and deeds of our closest neighbors, like Poland, who actually shares this approach, but also European Union level, European Commission, as well as our partners from other European Union countries who are maybe further away from the geographical location where that is happening. Well, when it comes to safety, one must realize that I think nobody thought that we are unsafe in the skies. And what happened 2 weeks ago proved that you can be not safe in the sky, unfortunately. So we need to learn this lesson. And of course, we saw situations around Europe with Salisbury case, for example, and other situations where institutions from, this time not Lukashenko, but Kremlin's, were just going around the European cities and trying to find the targets they've put for themselves. But nonetheless, it should not make us hostile to people suffering. And of course, we are strengthening our institutional capacities to react to different situations that can occur, unfortunately. But we will still be sticking to our major idea of providing shelter to people who are being prosecuted, beaten, and put to jail for fake sentence and accusations.
Looking at what is happening in Belarus, I think it is our duty to support the people there. And I think the only thing that we can do at the moment is to react on what the regime did and what the regime still is doing. So I supported a quick and tough reaction by the European Union. And I think it was good that we were able to agree on that so quickly. Now, if there is no change of behavior, I think it is necessary that we take further steps and have further sanctions. And of course, sanctions can never be positive, not for companies in Europe and not for companies in the country targeted. But what we can do, and this is what I mentioned before, is that we should focus on the details and try to have sanctions which are as targeted as possible. There's always a collateral damage. There's always the difficulty how to have them as targeted as possible, but it is worth a try. And I'm very happy that we have good debates between of us, between other member states of the European Union, and also within the EU to reach this goal.
Thank you very much. Due to time constraints, we have to come to an end now. Sorry.